Greetings to all lovers of mystery and the unknown. You might be surprised to learn that new continents are still forming on Earth today. But it's true, Africa is splitting into two continents, and most people don't even know about it. Massive upheavals deep within the Earth's crust are slowly tearing apart the African continental plate. This process will eventually give rise to a new continent and a new ocean. These revelations have shocked the world. In East Africa, huge cracks have suddenly appeared in the ground, creating a giant rift. At some point, this rift could cause East Africa to become an entirely separate continent. The first major event that brought attention to these tectonic processes in East Africa occurred in 2005. A giant 60-kilometer-long crack appeared in Ethiopia within the African Rift Valley in just 10 days. This incident caught the attention of scientists, identifying the Rift Valley as a potential zone where the continent could split apart. Then, in March 2018, a similar event happened in Kenya. A crack several kilometers long suddenly formed in the Mai Mahiu area, continuing to grow and swallowing up roads and farmland. This event served as another reminder of the ongoing tectonic processes and sparked renewed discussion about the continent's potential split on the international stage. In a few million years, the countries of East Africa will form a small, independent continent, somewhat resembling a long, island-like landmass. The Rift Valley in Kenya will be at the center of this split, where underground forces and expanding magma chambers continuously push the land masses apart. Complete separation will take millions of years, but locals are already experiencing changes. New cracks could appear at any moment. Geologists are working tirelessly to predict the scale of these changes and protect the local population. In the distant past, there were microcontinents that have since disappeared beneath the oceans. One of the most mysterious examples of such hidden continents is Zealandia, referred to by scientists as the Forgotten Continent. Though Zealandia is not in Africa, its discovery in 2017 by a team of geologists led by Nick Mortimer demonstrated how incredible these hidden continental splitting processes can be. This enormous landmass, two-thirds submerged under the waters of the Pacific Ocean, was once part of the ancient supercontinent Gondwana around 85 million years ago. About 93% of Zealandia is underwater, but its existence was confirmed through geological studies and satellite data. Scientists discovered that this sunken landmass, long thought to be just an archipelago, is actually a massive geological formation that partially sank due to tectonic changes. Zealandia contains ancient mountain ranges that may have once been part of its coastline. Research has shown that this hidden continent has a complex geological structure, including vast mineral deposits and possible signs of tectonic activity that could lead to its eventual rise from the ocean's depths. Some researchers believe that due to the movement of tectonic plates, Zealandia could begin to slowly rise above the surface, revealing land that's been submerged for millions of years. It's also worth mentioning a lesser-known underwater continent beneath the Indian Ocean, known as Mauritius. Scientists believe this microcontinent broke off from Madagascar about 60 million years ago and sank due to plate movements. In 2017, scientists discovered ancient zircon crystals on Mauritius, over 3 billion years old, confirming the theory that these lands were once part of ancient Earth's surface. One of the most interesting discoveries relates to Lemuria, a hypothetical continent said to have once connected the Indian subcontinent with Madagascar. While Lemuria was long considered a myth, modern research shows traces of ancient continents beneath the Indian Ocean that may have been destroyed and submerged millions of years ago. Imagine that these processes of splitting and submergence aren't just happening to large continents, but also to ones we don't even know about yet. In the future, similar underwater continents could rise to the surface due to tectonic shifts, revealing ancient lands that have been hidden for millions of years. These lost continents may hold clues to ancient civilizations or unique life forms that evolved in total isolation from the rest of the world. The drama is unfolding. Africa is breaking apart. In March 2018, people living near Mount Suswa were terrified when a crack suddenly appeared, 15 meters deep and 20 meters wide. Panicked, people ran along the fissure, trying to find where it began and ended or understand why it appeared. They walked for kilometers but couldn't find the end. Despair was written on their faces. Some feared a volcanic eruption, while others thought the gods had gone mad. Many residents were forced to leave their homes. The main artery of East Africa, the busy Mai-Mahian-Eric Road, was severely damaged, and entire fields were torn apart in an instant. People began to feel disconnected from the world around them, and fear has gripped East Africa ever since it became known that their land is breaking apart. Locals now expect serious geological changes. No one knows when new cracks will appear, where they will surface, or if entire homes or villages will be swallowed up. At this moment, the earth is constantly stretching, much like a piece of pizza dough. When it stretches too much in one area, it gets thinner and thinner, and cracks or holes begin to form. Eventually, the land mass along the crack will become so thin and deep that the sea from one side will rush in. This will mark the birth of a new ocean, and people who were once living on the African continent will find themselves living on an island. Where there were no coastlines before, new shores will appear, and people who have lived inland for millennia will suddenly find themselves by the sea. While this could bring certain advantages, the discovery of the rift has caused widespread fear in Africa. The future feels too uncertain, and people in the affected countries are plagued with too many questions. The 35,000-kilometer-long rift is currently quiet. Since the first major split, there have been few significant earthquakes, but this calm could be deceptive. People may live their entire lives without noticing new signs of the rift, or they could face constant surprises. Right now, no one knows for sure what will happen next. Experts are doing everything they can to predict when and where changes will occur, but we've never witnessed the splitting of a continent in modern times. Sure, these processes have always happened on Earth, but not since our current generation has been around, and not since the advent of modern research. The splitting of a continent is a new challenge for scientists and global experts. These dramatic processes are unfolding in what's known as the Great African Rift Valley. This region traditionally marks the boundary between the African and Somali tectonic plates, stretching from the Horn of Africa all the way to Mozambique. The Somali plate, which is slowly pulling away, is moving eastward, while the African plate drifts westward. To the north, the Great Rift Valley begins in the Afar Depression between Ethiopia, Eritrea, Djibouti, and Somalia. This region is already about 120 meters below sea level, and this is where the Red Sea will likely spill into the lowlands in the distant future, flooding an area roughly the size of Austria and Switzerland combined. This unique event marks the beginning of the formation of a new ocean between the African and Somali plates. The Afar Depression connects to the Abyssinian Rift Valley in the Ethiopian highlands. From there, the rift splits into eastern and western branches, which together form the Central African Rift. These rifts run to the west and east of Lake Victoria, the world's second largest freshwater lake. Further south, the two rifts reconnect, forming the Southern Rift Valley, which finally ends at the coast in Mozambique. Can rifts be filled with hot magma? You're probably curious about how these cracks form, what forces are at work, and what we need to understand to grasp this spectacle. Scientists suspect that a giant plume of magma has formed deep within the Earth's mantle beneath Africa. Geologists refer to such flows of hot earth material as superplumes. This plume stretches from the Arabian Peninsula, and geologists are concerned as it continues to fill with magma, which is being pushed toward the Earth's surface. As a result, the Earth's crust bulges upward. The cracks are just a warning sign, likely followed by events such as earthquakes and increased volcanic activity. This upward bulging causes the Earth's crust to stretch, making it thinner and thinner, and eventually, it will tear. The separation of continental plates is a completely normal process. However, experts also agree that the exceptionally hot rock flow from deep within the Earth's mantle isn't necessarily typical in this context and could be the driving force behind the split. A research team from the U.S. recently presented a study showing that the formation of cracks in Africa is due to the deformation of the lithosphere, the Earth's outermost solid layer. This layer can change in different ways. If it stretches slowly and in areas without additional risk factors, it can stretch a lot without cracking. It's like slowly and carefully stretching dough. However, if it stretches too quickly or faces additional stress, the outer layer can tear. It's still unclear exactly what role these mantle plumes, or hot magma flows underground, play in these significant processes. Mantle plumes are streams of hot rock material from deep within the Earth's mantle. At depth, these rising streams are tube-shaped, and when they reach the rigid lithosphere, the plume spreads out like a mushroom due to pressure. It's quite possible that a superplume exists under Africa. That's what scientists call very large plumes within the Earth's mantle. Using satellite data, a research team has been observing the continental cracks and the areas where the Earth's lithosphere has become thinner. GPS data provides millimeter precision, and all movements around the East African Rift are studied in detail. Computer 3D models can almost perfectly recreate what's happening underground. But can these simulations ensure the safety of the hundreds of thousands of people living in this region? Currently, researchers are studying the behavior of all known mantle plumes. The Hawaiian Islands, for example, are a direct result of such mantle magma flows. Other plumes can be found near Iceland. Despite all these efforts, scientists have alarmingly little experience to make truly accurate predictions about the splitting of Africa. If the continent does split one day, several scenarios are possible. The Somali Plate could separate from the rest of Africa, and a new ocean would form between these parts. Then, regions like Somalia, Eritrea, Djibouti, as well as parts of Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Mozambique would become part of a new continent resembling a large island. The strong divergence of tectonic plates in East Africa could lead to the reactivation of many dormant volcanoes in the region. For example, Mount Nyiragongo, located in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, is one of the most active and dangerous volcanoes in the world. This volcano contains one of the largest lava lakes, and its eruptions can be catastrophic. In 2021, Mount Nyiragongo erupted once again. This event drew scientists' attention to the connection between volcanic activity and tectonic processes. Nyiragongo is located in the Great Rift Valley, where the splitting of the plates is increasing volcanic activity. If the African plate separation process accelerates, it could reactivate Nyiragongo and other volcanoes in the region, causing not only powerful eruptions, but also new cracks in the Earth's crust. Nyiragongo's lava is unusually fluid and fast-flowing. Due to its unique chemical composition, it contains very few silicates. Because of this, during an eruption, the lava flows down the volcano's slope at speeds of up to 60 miles per hour, 100 kilometers per hour. The plate divergence also greatly increases the risk of earthquakes. In the past, similar processes led to devastating consequences, reshaping landscapes and destroying entire settlements. For example, the San Andreas Fault in California is the result of tectonic movement. Scientists believe that the East African Rift could become the African equivalent of the San Andreas Fault, with similar consequences. As the ocean begins to flood the African Rift, it will create a new coastline and inland seas, which will change the region's climate and ecology. New ecosystems will emerge where there was once land. This could lead to species migration, the development of new animal and plant species, and the extinction of those unable to adapt to the changing conditions. Currently, the plates are moving apart by just 1 millimeter per month. That may not sound like much, but those millimeters could be crucial when it comes to future destruction, such as volcanic eruptions or earthquakes. When will it happen? Imagine that all eyes are on Africa right now. Scientists are anxiously wondering when this time will come and what the rest of the world should be prepared for. Scientists can't say exactly when Africa will split in two. In fact, they can't even say for sure if the African continent will split at all. Yes, you heard that right. Some scientists believe that talking about a new ocean and another continent is too early and premature. These processes might only lead to a significant thinning of the lithosphere. Geological forces could simply be too slow to push the two continental plates far enough apart. There have been many instances where similar developments came to a halt. One example of a dormant rift valley is the European Rhine Rift Valley. The first cracks beneath the surface in East Africa likely appeared about 30 million years ago in the Afar region. This is where the stretching of the lithosphere is most developed today. Signs of a thin crust in this region include steam and fluid pockets rising through thermal waters. Even though many signs point to Africa breaking apart, the scenario of continental separation is not yet certain. It's possible that at some point, only a small inland sea will form here, or a new body of water will fill the East African Rift. Over hundreds of thousands of years, the rift could once again fill up with rock, sand, and other materials. If we trust the opinions of leading experts in this field, radical scenarios lie far into the future. This means that, for now, people in Africa are relatively safe. However, residents across East Africa should be prepared for small geological disturbances at any time. Fortunately, people living today don't need to expect their continent to break apart anytime soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.